Hey, what's going on? I'm Quis here at Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined by my guy George from Into the Knicksverse. George, how's everything with you, bro?
Awesome. Awesome, brother. Thanks for having me on. I love these pre-games. Though I wish we were the Knicks world was in a better state at the moment than we are right now. But this is an important homestand. Hopefully, we can correct some things right now and get some W's.
Yeah, there's a few things that we need to correct, and then we'll talk about them throughout the show. But like I said, George, thank you for showing up here today. I appreciate you joining me to host this live stream. We have a few people in the chat I want to shout out. Geraldine McGyver, salute. Foxy calls her the queen of SVTV. So salute to Geraldine. Thank you for tuning in. We got Dank Tanks saying yo, yo, yo. Still Dre is saying salute SVTV, Knicks gang, hashtag smoke, hashtag revenge, because we need some revenge. The Pacers, they had their way with us, especially Miles Turner in our last meeting. So hopefully in tonight's game, we can, emerge victorious and defend home court. Now, George, before we get into the game, though, I want to talk about some of the press conferences we've seen from Derrick Rose and Tibbs yesterday. Were you able to watch them?
Yes.
Okay, so Derrick Rose, he made a mention that Tibbs is no longer allowing the first unit to freestyle. He's running a lot more set plays. So how do you feel about that? Do you think that's going to eradicate some of the ball stopping we've seen with that first unit?
Let's hope. Let's hope that's the intention behind it. I think it couldn't hurt in any way. I mean, I'm sure he's not saying that they have to stick to these set plays. It depends on the situation, depends on what the defense is giving you, is offering you, which is something Tibbs always says. But I think it's nice to have
George, just a heads up, you froze.
Oh, I froze? Am I still frozen?
Yeah. Frozen in the deep.
It's not frozen on the StreamYard.
Is it? No, mine is frozen. Let me remove you.
Hello.
Oh, now it's just black. So George, see if you can jump out and jump back in.
Okay.
All right. So chat, having a little bit of technical difficulties. You know how it is with the streaming. I appreciate you guys being patient while we try to work on these things. But to get into the quote, oh no, George is back. Let's not get into the quote yet. Hey, we're better? Bada bing, bada boom. That's what I'm talking about. All right, finish your thought, George.
I think definitely having some set plays is not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt. It's going to be awesome for them to have something to work from, that they all have an understanding of what their roles are supposed to be during any particular play. So I think that's excellent. And I think also just from a kind of just a mindset standpoint, it's great for Thibs to be doing this to the first unit he's saying to them, look, I want you guys to succeed. Here are some tools to do so. And that's something that I think should, the players should really take that and do something with it. Hopefully they practiced it a lot.
Yeah, I like what I heard from Derrick Rose. He said the coach has them moving the rock from one side of the court to the other and trying to at least work with each other and no longer try to force the issue themselves. I think we've seen times where Julius Randle can get into that ISO mode. And I think if we have a set play and we take the ball out of his hands at time, maybe give it to the point guard like Kimba, maybe give it to RJ, let RJ run some plays and try to facilitate. Even Evan Fournier, I think there's so many options on this starting unit when it comes to players that can get us into our sets that maybe Tibbs should be doing what he's doing right now, letting these guys get acclimated to the called plays out there on the court and then work from there. Like you said, sometimes plays do break down and you have to improvise. But luckily for us, we have players like a RJ, Fournier, Kimba that can all put the ball on the floor and create for themselves and others if a play does break down. Now, George, you wanted to follow up? Go ahead.
No, exactly. I was just agreeing with that.
All right. So yeah, George, on your channel, you also dropped a video recently talking about some rotation changes that could be made potentially. And Tibbs, it seems like he's being open-minded in terms of looking at at potential changes. You don't think so?
I mean, it's a little. I'm gonna say it's a little annoying actually, how he's been handling that issue. For example, and I tweeted this out yesterday. So Berman asks him directly. He says, "Are you looking at making a starting lineup change?" And this is after he had already said that he was, considering different things. Then he said, "So are you making a lineup change?" And he said, "No, no." Then he said, "The greatest right I have is the right to
Right, to
change my
change my
mind."
mind. Hmm.
Well, you know what, man? How about you just say, "Yeah, if things continue as they are, yes, we're going to look at some changes." I mean, it's what he should be saying. It's what he should be thinking. So for him to be coy about it, I don't know. He seemed a little bit like trying to parse his words a little too much, and that kind of stuff is a little frustrating. But to your answer, all the other stuff he said, yes, he sounds like he's open to making some changes. He may not actually make the actual starting lineup change, but maybe how long he goes with those guys is what changes, and who he brings in first is what changes. I think that's maybe more of what he's thinking about, because he didn't seem like he was willing to make an actual lineup change like for this game, which is what I called for. I mean, I called for a dramatic lineup change. I called for switching out Kemba and Fournier for Rose and IQ. And I think, and I went into a deep, explanation as to why, instead of just switching out one player over the other, because it's the entire starting unit that's having a crisis defensively. We see RJ's been suffering off his off ball defense has not been up to par, even though his man on man defense has. Julius, I mean, his defense all around has not been at the level that he needs it to be. And Mitch actually hasn't been as bad as it felt like, at least to me. When you look at the stats and everything, he's actually been much better, and than I realized, but not at the level that we're used to having him, that can cover up the mistakes that the other guys make. So we have a breakdown, a total breakdown in the first unit defensive approach and commitment and intensity. So if you just switch out one guy, you're saying, "Oh, it's this guy's fault," and it's not. It's all five of them, but you can't switch out all five of them. So I suggested switching out about 40%. And if Nerlens was healthy, I would suggest him as well. I would have switched out Mitch for Nerlens. But bringing in starting IQ and Rose, because if you put Kemba on the bench with IQ and or Rose, because some people are saying, "Hey, start IQ." Some people are saying start Rose. I'm not sure Kemba's going to have, well, I mean, maybe we'll see if he'll have the same chemistry with IQ as, well, we know he won't. It'll take a little while to develop. So I
Hmm.
just thought, you know what, since the eventual starting backcourt will be Kemba and Fournier, eventually, that's the hope. Why not keep those two together in the second unit, where they can work out the kinks, and they're playing against less talented competition, because that's in general what happens. That's another reason why our bench has been doing so well, because we actually have players on our bench that could be starters on a lot of squads. So we're taking advantage of that. But most benches are just they're the B players, they're the C players. So let Kemba and Fournier feast on some B and C players. Let them start getting into a groove, because we need them to create offense. That's what it's all about. If they come in, if they start clicking offensively, then you switch them back into the starting unit. So that was the thinking behind all of that.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to make a change at some point too, George. I don't know if I would go as drastic as moving two players. I would follow you and move Kimba back to the bench, but I would do that because you then have the option if Kimba does not work with the second unit as well. It was a low risk, high reward type signing. So then you can move Kimba a little bit further down the bench and try to bring in players that have a higher defensive floor for us as opposed to a Kimba, like a Quentin Grimes, like a McBride. If we are able to do that, I think that would have the second unit still have some of their continuity, because remember, Quick, Grimes, Obi all played together in summer league, so you would think that they
Mhm.
would have some level of familiarity with each other out there on the court. And if you add, McBride or Grimes to that second unit, you're going to still have some defensive integrity, because the second unit has been better defensively than the starters, even though Derrick Rose at times is a liability on defense. So to me, that tells me, yes, we don't need to have A1 perimeter defenders. I think it's more so effort and the fact that the first unit's not seeing their shot go down. They're getting disgruntled with the ball not moving. And then we're seeing that pay itself forward on the defensive end. So if we make a move and we do move Kimber to the second unit, elevate Derrick Rose, then at least that starting lineup still has, that burst that we're getting from Derrick Rose. And then with the second unit, if Kimber doesn't work, we can put Kimber next to IQ, because now IQ is showing that he has a little bit more grit and grind out there defensively. So we can have those two together. And if that doesn't work, then we can move, like I said, Kimber further down the bench and try to get these rooks in just to see what we have, because we have to at least know what's on our bench before we start looking towards the trade deadline and trade season to try and bring in talent from outside our team. So I think that's the
I
route
hear you, man. I
I
love that
would go.
idea. I love the idea of bringing in, giving burn to the two rooks who are defensively minded, who, they're excellent 3-point shooters. We've seen it. So why not give them a chance? I mean, the thing is, I mean, we want Rose to start, but the game he did start, we lost.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he was the answer that night. And we actually didn't even look that good.
Yeah,
So
Rubio went crazy,
yeah,
but we didn't
Rubio,
we didn't bring in Grimes, somebody that we thought could have came
exactly.
in and
That's
taken care of Rubio. So that's another key to benching. I don't want to say benching, but moving Kimber to the second unit. If you're going to do that and he doesn't work out there, you have to follow that up with bringing in a Grimes or a McBride to help out defensively on the perimeter and to knock down shots.
yeah. So so how do you see Kemba's role in that scenario? I mean,
If he were to move down to the end of the bench,
yeah, I mean, you're basically saying he's just not going to play.
well, if things don't work out in the second unit, I mean, if things don't work out with the starters, things don't work out with the second unit, the only other
And
option is to be, 13, 14, or 15 on the bench. And if he does that, he's not a big cap hit. And, he's a nice enough guy. He can rock out with that Theo Pinson role. And then maybe if there are things that happen throughout the season, like injuries, we can see if we can bring him back and incorporate him into the offense or onto the team that way.
well, I think that's. I mean, I wish it was as easy as you make it sound, because there's
Yeah,
egos. There's
yeah,
egos. I mean,
true.
just 2 seasons ago, he was an all-star. And look what he just lit up Charlotte for 16 points in the first quarter. I mean, like, he can score. We know he can do that. He's just not doing it at
I mean, we
consistently.
saw Austin Rivers last season. He was able to score. He was inconsistent, and we
Yeah.
still had to move on from him. He was poor defensively. So I understand the ego part. I mean, the same thing when you talk about moving Kimber or Fournier to the bench. Those egos will be involved as well.
Yeah.
That's where it comes to Coach Tibbs and him making sure that flies in the locker room. I can't get into what's going on in that locker room and how those egos are going to play when you make a move, but you have to do what's right for this organization and what's best for the organization. And if playing Kimber, less minutes is the best move for this organization, you can't look at egos and say, hey, I understand you were a former all-star, but right now you're not really giving us what we need at the point guard position, and we may have to look elsewhere. But this is not something I'm saying we should do right now. I'm saying we should make the switch, at least bring Rose and elevate him to the starting lineup, and give Kemba an opportunity to play with that second unit and let us know whether or not he can contribute to this team moving forward. That's how I would try to go about it.
Well, the good thing is that when that time comes, because it looks like Thibs, he's not going to make the change for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he does, it'll be a huge surprise to all of us.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do it tonight. Let's say we win this game tonight. But I think this is another question that we're going to get into, what it is that we really want to see from the team. But just to throw this out there. So think about it like this. So Thibs is going to give Kemba a chance these next 3 games. They're also easy games.
Well, 2 of 3 are easy.
2 of 3 are easy. 2 of 3. The
Knock on
Pacers
wood.
game, tonight's game is not an easy game, but
Mhm.
easier. And they're at home. So it's going to be like, okay, if Kemba somehow, and not just Kemba though, but if the first unit doesn't respond and show us something, then he can say, look, we've looked, it's 16 games now. We're going to move you to the bench. Like Thibs can say, we gave this a shot. We're going to see if maybe coming off the bench is a little easier for you. Whereby if he did it tonight, it might be a little drastic, especially coming off
Yeah.
of his big game against Charlotte, which is always my
Charlotte, yep.
worry. I always worry, like it was like when Alfred did that last season. He'd have one game where he scored, 18 points, 20 points, and I would buy him another 15 games of starting.
Yeah.
Of torture for us.
Exactly. Oh, what was last season, man?
Yeah.
Glad I'm about to say I'm glad we don't have to deal with that again, but it looks like we're stuck in the same spot as well. Maybe that might be the thing Tibbs does. Treat Kemba almost like an Alfred Payton, where he allows him to start the game, and then we don't really see too much of him throughout the remaining portion of that game.
The problem with that is that we're not solving any problems. We need the first unit to play like they played against the Celtics and against the Magic in game 1 the first time. That's how we need them to play. Defensively, we're not going to be as strong a team as we were last year, and that's okay when you have a top 3 to 5 rated offense. That's okay. But the team itself, even the offense has really run aground lately. We're still, I think, in the top 7 or 8. Actually, I'm going to confirm that. But
we're 11th in points per game. What were you looking for?
Yeah, okay, 11th in points per game. Look at that.
We're 4th
in 3-point shooting.
3-point percentage. We're 4th.
Yeah, but look at the points.
Actually, I'm sorry about that, George. I have the information for you to look. Apologies.
There we go. That's it. That's all right.
Make life a little bit easier for you.
So we've dropped dramatically from last week when we did this. When we did our pregame.
Yeah, because I pretty much did the same slide. I just changed the rankings and the numbers, and we've come down to earth in recent weeks.
Way down. Yeah, look at that. This is not per 100 possessions, right? This is just
the average points per game.
The average points per game. Yeah, we've dropped. Look, I think we were 4th last week in points per game. Now we're down to 11th.
11th, yep.
Yeah. So we're free falling in terms of our offense, even though we've been talking about the defense is the problem. So that's what I'm saying. Like we need the whole first unit has to. I mean, to use Thibs' word, gel. They're just not gelling right now, and it's all of them. RJ too. There were a lot of things that were masking the issues. For one, the outstanding 3-point shooting in the first few games was masking it. 2 was RJ then went on an awesome 5-game 20
plus points per game.
Yeah. Yep. And then for 4 of those straight in a row, he averaged 26, I think 0.3 points per game. So he was playing like an all-star. So that was another thing that was kind of helping to mask the issues of the starting unit. But then once RJ went cold and Julius just, this is the big difference between Julius last year. And this is why he has to change his game. And maybe this is why where I'm going with this is that the way that they played offense last year cannot work this year because it was all dependent on Julius hitting his mid-range jumper and his 3-pointer. The 3-point shot changed everything, but the 3-point shot has not. He's at 37% right now. That's decent. Last season he was at 41%. So it's a 4 percentage point drop. But we didn't expect him to stay up there. I mean, I think his 3-point shot is for real. What's happening this season is his mid-range game. Last season he connected on all his mid-range jumpers, 43% of them. This season he's down to 34%. So those are the shots he's taking, and they're often forced. They're not in the rhythm of the offense. They don't come off penetrate and spray. They don't come off, cutting. They don't come off the ball movement on his behalf. No, it's a bounce pass to him. He's off to the side. He's trying to back it in. It becomes an ISO play. And then it's at the last second that he passes the ball because he just can't quite make anything happen. Or it's a turnover. Or it's a missed shot. Because that's 66% of the time he's not connecting on this bucket. And here's another thing here to look at for him in terms of his offense. His points scored, points per shot attempt for him this year, it's 103.9 of 100 attempts, 103.9. That is 42nd in the ranking and cleaning the glass. So he's below the midpoint. He's not an efficient scorer when the ball goes to his hands right now. That's what's happening with but yet his usage is in the 90 percentile. He's at 29.5% usage. So his usage dropped 0.9% from last season, but his actual points scored per attempt have dropped 10.4 points. That's a lot of points less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's about 100 possessions per game. So we're playing the wrong style. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the first unit has to gel. I'd be like, hey, Julius, that's not your shot, man. You know, if you want to like catch and shoot it from there, that's fine. Of course, you know, when the shot clock's winding down, we'll go to you. But for you to go to these type of plays when there's still, 17, 18 seconds left on the clock, even 10 seconds left on the clock, that's just a wasted opportunity. It's not an efficient way to score in the NBA today with him. That could change. His shot could return. I mean, he scored more points from the right baseline than anyone in the NBA last season, with the highest percentage efficiency from that spot. And ironically, RJ was the best right corner three-point shooter in the NBA last season. He's not this season either. So it's not just
more of that magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joe, let me just get to a few people in the chat. Lex the Destroyer, one of the mods for the channel. Salute. Thank you for supporting. We got our guy Foxy in the chat as well. He's saying salute. Quis and George. Salute. What else? We got Taka. He's saying salute. Quis, George. It's 4:45 in the morning where I live. Let's go. Where are you, Taka? Let us know in the chat which part of the world you are. If you're one of the members of our international community, love to give you a shout out.
I know one of our guys, Buzz. He's in Russia.
So yeah.
So he watches it. He gets up at 3:30 in the morning to watch it, or stays up. I don't know, one or the other.
Nice. Right, Roberto Mendez is saying Knicks all day, baby.
Let's go.
Kane Marco is saying can't run the same play all night either. Sounds like he's talking about you, what you just mentioned with Julius Randle getting the ball and holding it and trying to find or create shots for himself in pretty much the same fashion. And like I said it time and time again, he's doing that, and he's no longer doing the spin move. Now he's doing that hop gather into the traffic, and he's not getting a good look off of it. So he looks like he's starting to revert back to those ways. Hopefully Tibbs can coach him, out of that.
Yeah. But the thing I've been surprised about is how he has not been that effective, even just one-on-one on guys.
Yeah, was it you or JD that sent the tweet about him going one-on-one with Miles Bridges, and Miles Bridges saying
that was JD
too strong? Oh, that was JD? Okay, it was one of you two.
Yeah, I'm just the whole all season. I don't remember him like taking any. I mean, yeah, a couple of times he did have some nice drives to the basket and dunked it, which is nice. But the past 4 or 5 games, that's gone away as well.
Donald Cannon saying, "What's up, Foxy? Knicks 100 a game. Knicks had your man's George Tea Kettle hot after last game."
Yeah, man, I just. Yeah, I let it fly. But it was, it's from love. It's from love. It's not. I believe in this team. I still believe that's what makes it so frustrating, man. This team, as constructed, is a top 8 in the entire NBA team. That's my feeling about it. They're not playing like it, but that's what the talent level is, and they technically, they should only get better because we have a lot of young guys on this squad that are. Look at Obi's coming on. Look at IQ's finally
Mhm.
broken out. RJ had that nice 5-game break, and we've seen him last season. He had like streak where he didn't hit a 3-point shot for almost 2 moon cycles or something. And then he ended up in
Two
the
moon
top.
cycles.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a bad month he had there. But then look, he straightened it out. So I'm not really worried about that part. I'm more worried about well, I've said it already before about the whole. I'm worried about Randall accepting the role that's best for the team to get the W.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
really the bottom line.
And it's crazy because in the beginning of that Charlotte Hornets game, it looked like he was willing to accept the role of just being a facilitator. He started that game, I thought, what was it, 0 of 2 in the first quarter. He had 4 assists.
Yeah.
And then for the remaining portion of the game, he only had 1. I think he ended the game with like 5 assists. So, that's where we have a lot of issues. We see the team working or playing extremely well to start the game. And then once the starters go to the bench and come back, it's like they decide to play a completely different brand of basketball. And George is not conducive to winning. And I know we both said that there has to be a change with this starting lineup. So what do you have to see tonight from this team in order for you to be comfortable with the starting rotation as it is now?
I want to see 25 team assists. That's what I want to see. That'll show me, I mean, and that they don't come primarily from the second unit. That'll show
That's
me
important
that,
too.
yeah, that'll show me that they're moving the ball, they're looking for each other, they're trying to make plays for each other. I want to also see the first unit get some easy buckets. That's one thing we see the second unit, they're constantly getting easier buckets, and Obi leaks out the long ball. That's it just totally breaks down the defense. They have to catch up and either foul or he gets the bucket. Then they're constantly thinking about that. It disrupts their defensive flow. IQ just brings it down, does his nice little crossover, throws it up, swish, easy buckets. The first unit, it's like, oh, you come set the screen. Oh, the screen doesn't work, and then like, oh, try to find this guy. Oh, I got to dribble it down in here. It's just not. They're not sharing the ball. They're not making life easy for themselves. So I want to see easier buckets. I want to see a lot of assists. I want to see an intensity, a commitment to just. This is another thing I want to see from the first unit. I want to see them string 3 or 4 possessions in a row where they stop the opponent from scoring. Not because they just didn't make a bucket, because we left them wide open and we got lucky.
And they missed.
Yeah, I want to see, because we're seeing that from the defensive unit. That's why we've been able to make those comebacks. They shut the Bucks down. I don't think the Bucks even scored like 3, 4 or 5 possessions in a row several times in both games. So I want to see that from the first unit. Real shutdown type defense.
And George, what you just said to me shows that it's all effort, I think, from this starting lineup. I think we can be perfectly fine on defense as long as the guys are out there giving more effort, because second unit, we don't have defensive juggernauts and they're able to play solid D out there the same. Derrick Rose is not the greatest defender in the world. Obi Toppin, has gotten better, but he's still not an elite defender. Quick, I mentioned he's gotten better, but again, he's not a top tier defender in this league. That just leaves you with, Nerlens and Burks, who at times is a decent defender. So for the fact that they're able to figure it out, that second unit, and play solid defense, but we're not able to get it from our starters is perplexing. And I want to see the starting unit played just like the second unit. And a few things that are big with the second unit is pace. The fact that we're pushing the ball up the court and trying to get easy looks, like you said. We need more ball movement. Keep moving the ball around the court. Try to find ways to get the defense out of position, and then you attack. And also, I want to see a lot better chemistry and body language from the starters out there. I think at times you'll see Julius Randle kind of shrug his shoulders. You'll see Evan Fournier and even Kimber at times not have the greatest body language, and too much complaining,
Too
not
much
getting back
complaining.
into the play.
Too
You
much
see a
complaining.
lot of that from the starters, especially from Julius Randle and RJ Barrett at
Too
times.
much of this.
So yeah,
The
get
hands
back.
up. Like, what are you doing? Get back.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see. I don't want to see that in tonight's game, and I think what is going to be a major factor in this game is the one-on-one matchup between Julius Randle and Sabonis. I think we've seen at times Julius Randle go into those ISO heavy situations, or go into that ISO mode when he's going one-on-one against a marquee matchup. And Sabonis is one of the best fours in this league, and they always play each other tough, Sabonis and Randle. So I don't want Randle to get tricked into that mind game where he feels like it's a one-on-one battle and he has to one up Sabonis each time up and down the court.
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
you know.
also, George, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
Oh no, sorry.
I mentioned Taka that we were going to shout out where he's from. He says, I represent
Oh,
Nepal in the
Nepal.
Himalayas.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So salute, Taka. Thank you for tuning in. A big supporter of the channel. He's always watching both the edited and the live stream. So
Yeah,
salute to you, Taka. Thank you
I
for the
love you. I
support.
love all the comments and stuff and your thoughts that you
Yep.
share with us. They're always on point. Everybody. We got Sco in the chat. Lex. All right, Lex is
Goes in
there.
the chat.
Michael
The leader
West.
of the Rose Hive.
That's right. That's right. Sincere to Genius. Thank you for coming. Tricky Nikki. Oh, we got a great group here. Michael
Yeah, we
West.
got a
If I
great
haven't
crowd.
shouted you out,
Michael
sorry.
West.
I
He's
want to
on both
touch
the
on something
defense.
because you
Yeah, go
mentioned
ahead. Go ahead, George.
about,
Do you think?
since we're talking about the defense itself, just to get Rose's defensive rating is 97.7. That's outstanding. Nerlens is number one on his team with a 97.2, but he's only played 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Quickly, his defensive rating is 100.5. It's also outstanding. Anything below 107 is really good. Burks, 101.3. And I've been hard on Burks, but the past 3 games or 4 games or so, he's been really coming on. Taj, 106.4, and then it ends. Then it's our first unit. Barrett, 111.4. That's not good. Julius, 114.2. 115.4 for Fournier. Kemba, 118.1. And the worst in the entire team is our guy, Mitch Robb, 119.4. So that tells the story. It's the unit itself, not just each individual players. Because one of the reasons that Rose is doing so well is because he has, other players on the court who are showing the same type of intensity defensively that he is. So that's a very telling stat right there.
Yeah, I mean, but I read something from, who was it? I think Fred Katz. He had an article in The Athletic, and this was about 4 or 5 days ago. And I think he said that when the starters aren't tied to Kemba Walker, they're actually net positives for the most time they're out there on the court. It's when they're stuck on the court with Kemba Walker is when they have that negative.
Yeah. Oh, that was the past
negative
5 games.
tally.
So, by the way, that's the defensive rating that I showed you was the past 5 games.
Just the past 5 games. Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
Just to show you, number 1 in the NBA is Andre Iguodala with an 88.6. I mean, if you look, surprisingly, Luke Kennard is up there. But I know you're like, what?
Right?
Yeah.
So
the Joker, 95.8. So nice. That's for the whole season. Okay. Jaylen Brown. Yeah, they just gotta. So many times, Kemba's just in the wrong spot. Same with Fournier. We're like Fournier, kind of like he's kind of in the right area, but doesn't commit. Either commit to the player driving in the lane, or commit to the guy out in the corner that is going to end up getting the ball and make that open 3-pointer. Just when you're stuck in no man's land, you're doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd rather
So
you
George,
make a mistake by
then
committing to
not do
something.
anything.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. It's all about effort, you know. Don't decide to do nothing. At least make a commitment, just like you said. And you do make a commitment like that. And sometimes, you know, things you get lucky
Yeah,
and the ball finds you at times. So
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it looks like Duarte's out tonight.
out. So
Yeah,
Duarte's out,
he's
Noel's
gonna miss his
out.
first game of the season.
That's good for us. That's good for
Yes,
us. Who's going to step up? You think Justin Holiday's going to be inserted into the?
they haven't said, but I would imagine why not? He's just coming off a 27-point game.
Yeah,
He had a he had a
offensive
he had a big
barrage.
game last time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, against who? I think it was the 76. No, yeah, the 76ers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Holiday had 27 points, 9 of 11 from the field goal, from the field, 6 of 8 from the 3-point line, and he was +6 out there in a 118-113 win versus the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, Quickly's defensive rating for the whole season
Hmm.
is 100.2, so it's even better than the past 5 games. That was 100.5. So he's doing his job.
That's why he's been out there on the court even when the shot isn't falling.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
that's
why
one thing
that's
with
why
Tibbs.
Tibbs kept him out there all this time
Hmm.
because he knew the shot was going to fall, and he was giving the effort defensively.
Yep. And that's all you can ask for these players on this team, for them to give us effort out there and work hard. You
Here's
know,
another
if you
thing. I don't
look,
know if you had it on the tail of the tape, but the
yeah, go ahead.
Thibs, he's always talking about his most important defensive stat is a defensive field goal percentage. The Knicks are still currently 6th in the entire NBA with the lowest opponent field goal percentage at 43.4%. So we're but 3-point percentage, we're 25th. So we're doing a great job inside the arc in terms of defensive percentage. Indiana, they're at 17th, 44.8%. And their field goal percent, I mean, they're allowing 37.5% field goal percentage. So we should be able to have a good time behind the arc this game.
Have some fun. That'd be nice. But
Yeah.
I want to know, you mentioned Mitchell Robinson's defensive rating. What are we going to do to contain Miles Turner in this game? The last time we faced each other, Miles Turner had a career game for himself, killed us from the 3-point line, started the game on fire, and came out in the third quarter, I think, and knocked down a 3 as well to help get the Pacers on a run. So what are the Knicks going to have to do in their defensive approach to help contain a Miles Turner, especially when the starters are having so much issues on the defensive side, and also defending open threes?
I think it might have to come to Randall to take on Turner. And
I put Randall on Turner and then Mitch on Sabonis.
yeah, sometimes when you switch up like that, it really works to your advantage because you're, for one, I mean, well, hopefully Julius will provide the pressure to Turner to make his shot uncomfortable, because Turner will still be able to shoot over him, but he likes to have that space in front of him. So if Julius is crowding that space, that's going to impact his shot, and then Mitch's overall size will impact Sabonis. So that could be a double win there if we switch those two up.
I'm still, we do that switch. Sabonis at times can go on the perimeter and try to create. So I don't know if I really want Mitch out there on the perimeter too much, because then it can make our interior defense somewhat porous, especially since the fact that we're sticking with Kimba and Fournier. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting if we decide to do it. It's going to be difficult, because when you look at Mitch and Miles, I think one of the biggest concerns with Mitch is defending the perimeter, stepping out and closing out, 3-point shots from bigs. We've seen him have issues do that with Valanciunas. We've seen him have issues do it with Turner. So that's what I really think should be a focus, not allowing Miles Turner to be uncontested at the 3-point line, and don't let him get into a groove. Once he gets into a groove and starts seeing the ball drop, I think that's when the Knicks are going to have a lot of issues out there in terms of trying to get him to cool down. And I think Miles Turner, for the season, I think he's only had a few games where he's really exploded. He's had some solid games, but he hasn't stretch through a full run to start the season. So we can't allow him to go off. Same thing with Sabonis. Sabonis can knock down the three and get hot. So Julius Randle's going to have to step up defensively. And, we mentioned Holiday. Same thing with, Brogdon and Levert. If you look at that starting lineup, the Knicks, our starting unit has not been great defensively. And if you look at the Indiana Pacers, there's players throughout that starting rotation that can really hurt us, even without Duarte. You've got Brogdon, who's been a thorn in our sides from times, and then Levert, who's starting to round into shape, get into form. Yeah, TJ McConnell. And, the Pacers, they are deep. Their record doesn't really speak to how good of a team they are. They've had to deal with some injuries throughout the season, and they're dealing with a new coach trying to implement his system. And I think Miles Turner is going to be deadly, because if you look at what Carlisle did over with the Mavericks, they ran a lot of 5 and out to get KP to shoot up a lot of 3-point shots. So I think that might be the game plan. Attack Mitch, put up the threes with Miles Turner once again, because it was successful in the first game. So that's something I'm really keeping my eye on.
Yeah, I can see that, because he's going to continue being a threat. Because Miles Turner, even though going into that game against us, he wasn't doing that well from behind the arc. But since he's gone on such a streak, he is now averaging 44.1% from behind the arc. 44.
We allowed him to get on the streak.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hey, play the Knicks. Get on a hot streak.
He's pulling an RJ.
Yes.
He did the same thing as RJ. RJ started off terrible to start.
I wonder if Rubio's been hot since too. All the guys. I wonder. I should check that.
He checked.
Yeah. I mean, last season Turner only shot 33.5%. So he's 11 percentage points higher this season from behind the arc. And I don't think he's going to go away from that. It's working for him. It's something that we're just going to have to chase him off the 3-point line.
Yep. Not allow him to kill us from there. And make sure we don't allow him to be a beast in the paint with the rebounds as well. That's another thing we got to worry about.
Yeah.
Their rebound. I mean,
surprisingly,
put the team stats back up.
Yeah, because
I think they out rebounded us in the last game we played against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, we're 11th, but we're basically the same.
Basically the same. It's a wash.
Yeah.
At this point. But I think you made a great point when you said you want to see 25 assists. We get the ball moving, and this team, I've been saying this since the season started, it's very hard for us to guard once our guys are getting open looks. We're moving the rock.
We're impossible to guard
within the system. Yeah.
We're not
virtually impossible. That's why this stretch has been so frustrating. This team we shouldn't have the record we have. We should be we should be more games over 500, at least 3 or 4, if you ask me, because a lot of the games we gave up earlier on in the season were just because we weren't clicking. The same reason we're on this 2-game streak right now. It's not that we don't have the requisite talent. It's just we're not putting the talent in the right positions to succeed. And until we do that, it's going to be shows like this where we're continually trying to break down and see what is going on with this team and how we can kind of get out of that rut.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not a team that's good at making tough shots, then you have to find ways to get easy, nice looks. And the only way you do that is penetrate, draw the double, find the open guy. And if they rotate over, keep the ball moving. Keep the ball moving. A ball travels faster than feet. Just keep it moving. You will find the open guy. But if you're starting to do that with only 8 seconds left in the clock, then it gets... There was a great possession, even though it didn't turn into a made bucket. I was like, perfect. I can't remember which one it was, but it was like, wow, why can we do that every single night? Every possession should be like that. But we go away from it. And I got to say, I think primarily that is on Julius Randle, because the ball is too often in his hands early in the shot clock. And so he's the one who's initiating the offense at that moment. And he's the one who's deciding to try and back someone down, or he tries to penetrate, but he waits too long to find the open guy. And then by that point, like we said before, there's not enough time to keep the ball swinging around to find the best shot possible. Mm-hmm. So let's hope that that's part of what they've been working on. I want to see some high pick and rolls.
Yes,
I'd like to see a high pick and roll with Fournier and Julius, or
Mm-hmm.
RJ
A
and
dribble
Julius.
handoff, something.
Yeah, something.
Because
Let's
we've
see.
seen it in moments where it's worked. It looked like something that we could exploit,
Yeah,
but they go away from it.
yeah, yeah. They do go away from it.
Just
And
want to give a shout
the
out to
other thing
Citizen.
is,
Oh, sorry. Go
too.
ahead, George.
Unfortunately, this has also coincided with some of our excellent shooters just going cold. RJ's had some good looks. He just hasn't hit the buckets. Same for Fournier. He's had some decent looks, just hasn't connected. Kemba went through a little dry spell, but then you saw he exploded against Charlotte. So when you're having those kind of issues on the offensive side, then it magnifies the issues on the defensive side, and then the whole body posture, and then there's like thinking too much about their own shot instead of like, hey, let's get the ball back.
Yeah. So George, want to give a shout out to Citizen X. He sent a $4.99 super chat. Thank you for the support, Citizen X. Appreciate all the support. Watch both the edited and the live streams. Thank you. Without this support, it would, this channel would be nothing. I appreciate all the support you guys give me, both the views, super chats. Also, Michael
And
West gave up a super sticker as well. The likes, comments, everything, all the engagement with the channel means a lot, and I appreciate you guys for helping to support the channel. It's been almost, I think, a year and a half since I started the channel, and you guys have been with me, supporting me every step of the way. So thank you guys. It's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Shout out to Citizen X, Lex.
Oh, I think Steph is here as well. Shout out to
Steph,
the Queen's Court.
The Queen.
Salute.
Good to see you. Oh, there she is at Queen's Court. Awesome. Foxy.
Yeah. Please smash
up,
the
brother?
like, subscribe, and all reminder notification bell, and share the link on your favorite social media platforms.
Sko says Brogdon has gotten chubby. He has gotten a little bit. There's a little extra girth. That's true.
Sko says attacking Kimba equals 8 baskets for every 1 basket Kimba makes.
Yeah,
that might be an extreme.
It is an extreme, but it's all. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, he made like 3 layups last game, and that was like wow. But before that, he really hasn't been doing it.
Yeah, Citizen X is saying hit the like button. 70 viewers, only 22 likes. Support the channel. Yeah, man. Make sure you guys smash that like button for me and our guy George. We got a guest in the building. Make sure he feels welcome at home. Let's see. Most of our losses should have been easy wins, so we have to play well, especially the Tibbs and coaching.
Yeah, starters. The starters and coach. Yeah.
You think this is going to be a win for us tonight? Or you think this is going to be a difficult,
game? You know what? I don't know. I've been really surprised by how this team has just, like we're saying, has just basically surrendered leads and
just let go of the rope.
Yeah, and also just fall way behind. I mean, so even when they're clicking, they end up kind of shutting it off. It's almost like they only have a 2-gallon tank. They can't fill it up.
But you look at the gas prices. I don't blame them.
Yeah, well, these guys can't complain about that. But yeah, I mean, it's just so I don't know. I mean, if they lose this game, would I be surprised? No. If they win this game, will I be surprised? No. It's almost, I almost want it. The actual result is not necessarily going to be the most important thing for me. It's how that first unit plays. That's what I want us to, because you never know. I mean, the last game, we actually probably would have won the last game if Miles Turner just didn't have a completely unconscious night where he just was completely lights out. If he doesn't do that, we win that game.
Or how many games you could say that about, though? You could say that about, Rubio. If he doesn't go out, we might win that game. If Terrence Ross and Cole Anthony don't go off for the Magic, we probably.
But Ross has done that to us before. He's done that to us before. It's like he does it to people.
And Cole's doing it to everybody now, it seems. You see, we're letting these players go off for us, on us, and now it's the trend for the entire season. It's crazy. Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
But if I see like a real hustle with that first unit and real ball movement, really playing for each other, as Thibs always says, and we still lose, then hey, because that's what I'm all about. That's what New York is all about. Is if you leave it all out on the court, that's all. That's what we want. We hope that ends up resulting in a win. But if you left it all on the court and it didn't end up resulting in a win, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out how we can then turn that into a win. At least we got the effort now. But without the effort, that's what I want to see. That's the most important thing for me. I really don't even care about the win or the loss.
Yeah, you can't win, especially seeing that we have two games coming up where you feel like regardless, the Knicks should go out there and come back with a win in Detroit and Houston. So I understand. I feel you when you say it's not really the outcome. It's more so how we got to that outcome. Because I believe I'm with you 100% of the way. This team has to show that fighting spirit. This is basketball. It's not football. The games are important, yes, but they're not as important as a football game where you're playing
every week is a must win.
Exactly. Exactly. In a good season in basketball, you could still lose 40 some odd games. So, well, not from blind, 30 some odd games in a real good season. So you understand losses are going to happen. But as long as we aren't out there getting embarrassed on our home court, which has been an issue time and time again. So that's something I'm really keeping my eye on. What's the energy? How is the team playing in order to try and protect home court? Because we cannot allow teams to continue to come in and mollywop us on the Garden. This is supposed to be our arena. It's one thing for teams to come in and win, but it's another thing for teams to come in and pretty much make the statement for their coming out party into the league. We can't continue to allow that. And that's something that has to be stopped. We have to start doing it tonight, making sure we go out there and give the maximum amount of energy, maximum amount of effort. That's all as a fan that you can ask for, players on your favorite team. Just go out there and compete, and we'll live with what happens as long as we aren't watching despicable basketball out there where it doesn't look like these guys really want to play for each other or play for the name on the jersey.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had too many, like we go 3 quarters in a row. We only score like 62 points. We've had 2 games like that. But in fact, both the last 2 games have been like that. Like how do you win? Only scoring 62 points for 3 quarters of the game.
And with the amount of investment, with the investments we put too into that starting lineup, I know I said Kemba Walker's only making $8 million, but $8 million is still a decent amount of money. And then we went and gave Evan Fournier the bag.
I'm going to throw out an idea,
and
I've been thinking about it for a while. And I was going to drop a video about it, but I went into a different direction. But and a lot of it is because, unfortunately, Mitch just hasn't been himself, because it requires having our old Mitch or having Nerlens. The idea is, here's the other idea. If we don't want to do the big swap out of the second unit backcourt for the first unit backcourt, or we don't want to just start Rose because we like the dynamic with the bench. Here's the other option. We bench Fournier, put Obi at the 3, and slide RJ to the 2. The benefits are RJ can now completely own and dominate those 2 guards because he'll be bigger than them. And even though Obi's 3-point shot hasn't been there, his ability to go from the perimeter to the basket on his own is such a dynamic element that we do not have in that first unit right now on a consistent basis. It'll help with rebounding. It'll help with perimeter defense, because as we saw, Obi he's actually one of the top 4 perimeter defenders on the team right now. It could solve a lot of problems, because then we get Obi and Randall on the court together. And that's an interesting dynamic to have. So I mean, it's not something I just let it think about it, just play it through your mind. Unfortunately, we can't do it now with a compromised Mitch where he can't be bouncing all around, which is what we need him to. We need him to be his old self. But might be that might be the actual solution for igniting the first unit, but still keeping the bench, even though the bench, depends on Obi tremendously. But something's got to give. We can't keep going to where we're going, and it gets Obi more minutes. I mean, he was our number one draft pick from last season. I mean, he's a lottery pick. Lottery picks that have his talent should start in the NBA. That's the other idea.
I hear you, George, but I don't know if I'm comfortable with Obi out there at the 3, especially when he's shooting 12% from 3.
That's the one thing. He's not shooting anything from the 3 right now. But we saw in summer league that shot was looking good. I think it's just a matter of time before it starts clicking again. But it was looking good in summer league. It was looking good in preseason. Just when the season started, I don't think he's hit a shot since the game 1 from the 3-point line. Yeah, he's like 12%.
Yeah, it's a brutal number, and I'd be wary of him being attacked out there on the perimeter too by some of the quicker threes in this league. Like one of the guys I like, Norman Powell. Imagine Obi getting that assignment, having to guard him. So
I think Obi could take him. I think Obi's got the length.
You think?
Oh yeah, but that's right. Obi's his block percentage is up. I mean, his ability to recover. And one thing I like about him is that he's constantly plugging up the lanes. He gets those nice steals, those deflections. We don't see any of that in the starting unit. This may not. I'm not saying this is like necessarily a long-term solution, but it could be something interesting to look at once his shot starts. Let's say tonight, Obi hits a couple of threes or whatever. He starts delivering in that because I do believe that he has to hit the 3 for it to actually work to have him start. But it's just something interesting to look at. I wouldn't be surprised if we see because last game they didn't share the court at all. If we start seeing Obi and Randall share the court while Mitch is on the court at the same time. You might experiment with that.
You said Obi's able to recover, but the thing is, would he be able to recover enough to deny penetration? Yeah, maybe he can recover for a chase down block or something of that nature. But if you look at the way the team has defended, once we're allowing penetration, it's pretty much ring around the rosy. The way the ball gets then passed to the 3-point line, and then the teams find an open look. So that's my concern. Obi playing defense as a 3. I've seen some people in the chat saying we could try Randall at the 3, but I still think the best way to implement Obi is in a small ball lineup, even if it's not to start. And Tibbs is going to have to find his spots within a game to get both Obi and Randall out there on the court together. I know in times we've seen that. I think we've seen it once so far, that small ball lineup, or maybe another time in a small.
We saw it twice.
Yeah, another time in a small spurt. But I think we should still try to use that lineup a little bit more. I think the Hornets would have probably been a nice game to try and implement that, seeing that they didn't really have a big man out there on the court, and they were missing PJ Washington. That might have been an opportunity where, we missed that. Tibbs could have tried to put those two out there on the court and see if that gelled, because now you're putting Randall out there at the 5 and you have a point guard, let's say Derrick Rose. I believe Derrick Rose is the point guard they used in that small ball lineup. It was, I think, Rose, Grimes, RJ.
One time they went with Kemba as the small ball.
As the small ball point guard?
Yeah, and that was a huge mistake. I can't remember which game that was. That was recent. It was one of the – I want to say it was the Cleveland game. Yeah, we saw a small ball lineup with Kemba, and that's just not going to work.
Yeah, we need to see it with Rose. We need to see it with Obi at the 4 and Randall at the 5. And then you can kind of change up who's going to be at the 2 and the 3. I like RJ. I like what we saw with Grimes. It could have been a way to get Grimes a little bit more minutes. But if not, you could put Quick out there. And that is a dangerous lineup. Imagine Rose, Quick, RJ. And that's already 3 players that Tibbs has said in press conferences he's liked as a grouping. Rose, RJ, and quick. He's mentioned that. And then you have Obi, a player that can push the rock up the court if we need to. He's also a player that can attack the basket. He can run, do pick and rolls. And when his shot starts to fall, then we can start using him and getting him out there on the 3-point line to make this offense even that more dangerous and to help with the spacing. And then you're looking at Julius Randle, who at the 5 position could knock down the 3 and still is, big bodied enough to be a bully in the paint when he puts his mind to it. Emphasis on when he puts his mind to it, because it's not every single game you see Julius Randle raising his hand and saying, okay, I want to bang down low. So that small ball lineup, I think, is a nice wrinkle Tibbs could implement with this team. But I mean, I would be interested in seeing Obi at the 3. I don't have the most faith in it, but I'm willing to see what would happen if we decide to go that route.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, look at. I mean, also he's our most athletic guy right now. I would have said it would have been Mitch when he was, Mitch a year ago,
when he was 60 pounds lighter,
60 pounds lighter, and 2 injuries less.
Yeah.
Who knows how many injuries he gets that, he gives him that slight little heart attack.
He got nervous the last game, tweaked his ankle, tweaked his foot or something of that nature. He's nerve-wracking watching Mitch. He's always diving on the floor and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention Derrick Rose said he's good too in his press conference. He tweaked his ankle, I think, towards the end of that Hornets game. He said he's feeling good. It was just a little bruise, not a bruise, but a little injury that he's gonna power through. Nothing crazy.
Go. I'm trying to find these stats here. Shout out Rose not playing more than 25 minutes. Buzz says, yep, he's not.
I mean, he's played 30 minutes.
He has at times, but I think he's averaging like 24 or something like that.
Something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Air Force One. Air Force One is saying Rose is ready. You see the picture?
That's awesome.
That was funny. Tibbs test. Who was the first All-Star player's career Thibodeau ended? The first? I mean, the one that pops off the screen to me is, I won't say he ended it, but he ran D Rose into the ground. The White Falcon 44 is saying we have no perimeter defense.
That's I mean, he also turned, Noah into defensive player of the year, I mean, and then Butler is an all-star, and so it's every coach has their dark spots.
What you call it? Jason Jameson is saying threes are gonna have to keep up with Obi. That's the flip side of the coin, right, George?
That's remember the twos are gonna have to guard RJ. RJ's a huge two. You're saying he's 6'7". He looks closer to 6'8" now, and he's gotten so much stronger. So we get a physical advantage at the 2, at the 3, and at the 4, because Julius is still as big or as strong as most 4s in the game, and faster than a lot of the 4s in the game, except for Bridges. Definitely.
I was about to say that. Yeah, Bridges
ate him up a little bit last time.
Yeah, showed him up. Yeah, Bridges is playing for a contract. He's going to add that to his highlight reel when he starts to send it out to teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we also played. I think RJ at the 4. I forgot what game was that. We had that small ball lineup. I just not thought about it. Yeah, that was something. That was a little wrinkle we tried as well. I mean, they're trying things. They're just not trying the things we would like to see.
It's just it's demoralizing when the first unit comes out and there's just there's just no energy. There's no and so then you're like, what? Or the inverse, they build a lead, and then the second unit comes in, they hold the lead where we're going to the half. We have like a 14-point lead, 12-point lead, 9-point lead, and then the third quarter begins. I don't know what happens in that the locker room at halftime, but that first unit comes out and it's almost like they're not even the same guys, and then boom, the lead's gone. And not only is it gone, it's not like they let the lead go and they battle back and it's a tie game and it's it's like the rest of the way through it's a competitive game. No, they just let go of the rope, like you say, and suddenly it's 10-point lead becomes a 10-point deficit, and then it's the second unit's got to come in and scrape their way back into it. That's
And it's
really
weird.
disheartening.
We did some of the similar things last season too. We would allow teams to kind of claw themselves back in the third quarter of a game. So I think this is starting to be a sticking point with this team, and we really are going to have to figure this out
I
at
know, but
some
look at
point.
the
I think we
big
have too much
difference.
talent.
The big difference, though, Keith, from last season. I mean, we had Elfrid Payton was our point guard, and Reggie, who can't dribble and make a play for anyone else, Bullock. He's just catch and shoot guy. That's it. I mean, our offense was so limited. And, Obi was still learning his way. IQ was, figuring his thing out. Offensively, this team should be much further along. We should not go through those droughts.
Yeah, way too much talent to really have that discussion where we're saying, hey, we can barely score 20 points in a quarter some games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right,
I
George,
know.
we'll
We
wrap it up
struggled to
here.
crack 20
Go ahead,
points
finish.
so many times. We struggled to crack 20 points so many times.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then I think 4 out of the last 12 quarters we've played, we've given up more than 30 points to the opposing team. So that's another thing. We can't score, and then we're allowing the opposing team to have their way with us on the offensive side.
Oh God. It's just making me nauseous just thinking about it all.
Right? Yeah. But we got the game starting in a little bit. You know how it goes here on SVTV. We have fun during the live stream, and it goes a lot longer than we expected.
Yes.
So,
Always
George, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you once again for
awesome. Thank you for having me on.
It's awesome. To co-host this pregame show. We gonna be doing anything for the next game, next pregame?
Yeah, we'll do it on Knicksverse. The next one.
All right.
The next game is
Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, we're on that Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule.
Yeah, we'll do that, and then we have a back-to-back this weekend, Friday, and then Saturday we have a game.
Is it Saturday?
I think it's Saturday.
Let me just double check. I thought Foxy said we had a game Sunday. And we were going to do a pregame.
I thought we had a back-to-back.
Yeah. Next schedule. Let's see what we got going on here. So we play the Pacers today, Magic on Wednesday, Rockets. Oh, so that's what it is. We're on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's going to be
so it's Saturday, weekend. Sunday? So it's not
Saturday,
Friday.
Sunday.
So we don't have a game Friday. Okay, so it's Saturday,
no game
Sunday.
Friday. So, oh, man, 2 games on a weekend.
Woo!
I don't like that. I mean, I like it because I'll be available to watch from home, but I don't like my weekends getting ruined. And if things start going left on Saturday
when they win,
Sunday,
it's awesome. You go out to the bar, true, party,
true.
When they win,
true. But it seems like they lose and then the Giants win, or vice versa. Giants lose, they win. I can't have a weekend where I'm just relaxed, anxiety free. I don't got to worry about one of my teams, ishing the bed.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah. So thank you once again. We're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you everybody in the chat. Lex the Destroyer, Stephen Fox, the Fishers. I don't think we got to shout you out throughout the show. Thank you for joining. Dank Tanks, Nick Yak, Jonathan Green.
Jonathan Green says update. Duarte is starting.
Whoa, he's in the game now.
Switch.
Uh-oh. They threw us a curveball.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh man. Maybe he's he wants to show off for all his Dominican people. Wow. Yeah, he had right shoulder soreness. I guess it got better. All right, thank you, Citizen X.
Hey, George, we got a compliment from Skull. I appreciate any compliment I get from Skull because normally he's reading us the riot act in the comment section. So we got a compliment from Skull. We did a good job. So I appreciate that, Skull. Salute to you.
Okay,
looking forward to chopping up with you in the comment section again.
Before we go ahead. Okay, I found Obi's defensive rating for the whole season, 99.8. The dude he's been doing the job on that end. Number one is
another thing though. I think Obi's probably playing the least amount of minutes on that second unit.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's averaging 14.9. Yeah, Burks is 19.5. Yeah, he is averaging the least. Yeah. Well, the center.
Which is unfortunate. I don't get it. Who Nerlens or Taj?
It's hard to tell because it's they mix it with Taj and Nerlens. He is the lowest. Obi is the lowest, and it's because he doesn't share the court with Julius ever.
Ever. That's what I'm saying. We need to get that small ball lineup in there.
His win shares, he's got a .073 win defensive win shares, which that's good for 6th on the team. That includes Nerlens and Taj. They're always way up there. Defensive win shares.
Yeah.
So he's been doing
thank
the
you
job.
for that little tidbit of information, George.
Yeah.
So now you guys know Obi's actually doing this thing in the 14 point some odd minutes. He's out there on the court. That's why he needs more minutes. Tibbs, if you're watching this, you shouldn't be watching this. First off, you should be preparing for a game. But Tibbs, if you're watching this, get Obi in the game, some way, shape, 100%. Or form. Make it happen. Facts.
Obi, more minutes.
That's George. I'm Quis. This is Sports Vibes TV. Make sure you check out Into the Knicksverse, and check out my guy George's video. We're gonna close the video with our guy Jay Boogie and his song "The Squad."
Yeah, I told you. I'm about to put on a suit and tie. Look like Jerome or something with that mirror. Cause when you look good, you ain't gotta worry about nobody telling you how you look. So never mind what the haters say. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right. We all know right now who brought the city back. Tell D Rose Noel ties, let's run it back. With Berg said he inking in that new contract. Some new money have you pushing that Maybach. I hear the talk, Katie say we ain't cool no more. We'll tell that to the Barclays when they open the door. Before the game, red carpets get rolled out. You see the stars, attendance mean we sold out. Ain't no arena feeling like this gym. Clyde with that brim, Nick jersey with some butter Tims. This for the ones that continue to love the hate. And how Max went from his first to his last take. They say, Boogie, why you talk like that? I'm spitting bars, so I'ma talk like that. Yeah, the media got me feeling like that. My James Brown saying this is my payback. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right. Some real fans to the game, that mean we stay loyal. Twist the cap off the top so you can crown royal. I promise you about to see a league mess. I'm right beside Mr. Worldwide West, gunning championship Escobar with the cigar. The next track, Mr. Dolan on the guitar. Play that, in fact it's a new anthem. Tell Mr. Inchler you need a new Hawk anthem. Everybody put your hands in the air. I wanna see you with your hands in the air. Celebrate your life. Everybody put your hands in the air. I wanna see you with your hands in the air. You a Knick for life. They don't live how we live when we do what we do. We do what we do. They don't do it. We represent to the fullest, just that orange and blue. You a Knick for life. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right. They wanna hate what they love in the franchise. With Spike said it's the orange with the blue skies. It's no city more famous with the nightlife. We celebrate feeling good, it's the Knicks right.